Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. We're doing something different today. I've got my dear friend, my partner in crime, Pierre from Chicago. Pierre, talk to me, brother.
What's up? Let's do this.
Yes, sir.
This caller. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
So I dropped his episode on Friday, and I just checked in with him, and I said, who else can we interview? He says, I got a friend, Wayne, from Chosen Few. Maybe we can get him. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the podcast, Brother Wayne. Talk to us, man. How are you?
All right. How are you doing?
Man, listen, I am blessed, and I thank you for gracing the platform. Both Pierre and I are excited, and so I just wanted to jump into the conversation with you and just talk about immediately. How did you become a DJ with the strong ties to house music?
Mm-hmm. Well, I started DJing in 1973.
Yes,
and it was what I was playing at that time was mostly R&B and funk.
Yes,
and when I was and I did my 8th grade graduation party, that's what I considered my first DJ gig.
yes.
When I did my graduation party of in grammar school in 8th grade, and then months after that, I did a house party where it was only like $1 to get in, right? So how long ago that was, and that was a fun, successful basement party we had. We probably had like 150 people in that basement, people waiting outside to get in. So it was really cool, right?
Now this is at your parents' house?
No, this is at one of my friend's house. I lived on 120th on the side. He lived on 123rd.
Yeah.
And real popular kids in grammar school,
Gotcha.
And it was kind of like neighborhoody. And anyway, so we just gave a party, and a lot of the kids they were real popular at their respective schools they went to, and so that's the reason why they gave the party, and it was really, really good party. And anyway, those were like the first early times that I DJ'd. And so that was the music I was playing, R&B and funk. So I'm going to fast forward to now. I'm a freshman going into sophomore year in high school. And my classmate gave a party at this club on the north side called the Den 1. Mm-hmm. And it was a gay club. I had never been on the north side. I had never been to a gay club. And I didn't even know it was a gay club. I was going to my classmate. He was a senior, but my classmate's party he was doing at this place. And this music I was hearing, I had heard disco music before, but I had heard more of the radio commercial disco music. I hadn't heard, they were playing like black disco music, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard that music before. And I was like, wow. I immediately was like, that's the first thing. And then the second thing was, back then I was DJing with one turntable.
Yes.
And so at this club, I heard the music being mixed together, right? Without you picking up the needle, putting another record on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, for me, it was like, this is magic. How is he doing this? Right? Yeah. I'm like, how is this happening, right?
Yeah.
And so I immediately went up to the DJ booth and like, man, and then I saw that he had 2 turntables and a mixer. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. So he kind of told me how he was able to mix the 2 records together without the music stopping.
Yes.
And so I was like immediately intrigued, right?
Yes.
And so I asked him, I said, well, where can I hear this music? You know, where can I find this music? Because I immediately knew this is the kind of music that I want to play.
Yes.
You know, and he told me, well, you have to, you know, you got to find this music in gay clubs, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, what's a gay club? right. You like, what's that? And so he said, he said, well, you're in one. I said, I'm in one, right? And the DJ booth was upstairs, right? Yes. And so I looked down. No, he told me, he said, look down. Because I said, well, what is gay? Like, I didn't know what that was, right? Right. He said, look down at the bar. And I looked downstairs. And I looked at the bar. He said, you see those 2 guys over there? And I looked, and I saw those 2 guys, like, hugging and kissing each other. I'm like, whoa, right? That was just my immediate reaction. I hadn't even seen that before, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, I said, okay, but, you know, whatever on that. I just wanted to know where I can find this, you know, where I can find this music. And he said, you live. And I lived in South Shore at the time. And he said, well, there's a gay bar over there called the Jeffrey Pub. Right. And he said, you can go up, you know, in there and you can, you'll hear this music. I'm like, okay. So I asked him what his name was. And his name was Ron Hardy. Right?
Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, cool. You know, and I stayed the rest of the night and people was partying. It was so much fun and the music was just amazing, bro. And I was like, and so I was, you know, after that, I was like, oh, I got to find this music. I got to find this music and play it for my peer group, which was on the South Side, teenagers on the South Side. And so that's what I did. So that's kind of how I got into disco music, you know.
Now, Wayne, when you played that type of music for your peers, what was their response? What was their reaction?
Well, they immediately left the dance floor. I immediately cleared the dance floor because they weren't used to that. Number one, and number two, R&B and funk music was for the most part slower music. You know, right? There were some up-tempo funk records like Flashlight, and there were up-tempo. You know, like the Function had some up-tempo joints, and you know, R&B. R&B up-tempo joints, but for the most part, they were down-tempo. So these up-tempo disco records I was playing, it was big change when it came to, you know. So at first, I cleared dance floors at first, right? But I believed in the music, and I let the record play. Like some people would, when they saw the dance floor clear, they would just stop, but not, you know, go to another record. But no, I let them hear it. I let them listen to the whole record. And, you know, disco records was long, baby.
Long, right. Well,
and so I let them listen to the whole record like I ain't budget, right? But after a while, I started to get a following. And then once they got into the music and it took off, then I was the only one playing this music and had the repertoire of all this disco music at the time on the South Side, and that's how I became real popular real quick.
Wow. I want to tell you a quick story, right, if I may, gentlemen. So I'm from New Jersey, and we used to go to this club called Zanzibar up in Newark, right?
I've been to Zanzibar before.
Okay, so the first time that we go into the club, so we knew that the club was 50-50, but we didn't know about the music.
Sure.
So somewhere in the mix, they're playing this song, Carl Bean. I'm happy, I'm carefree, and I'm gay, right? No issues. So we get in the car, we're singing this song going home. A few weeks later, we're singing the song. You know, so fast forward to about 20 years ago, I think I might have been about 30 or 40 years old. I had to call my boy and say, "Do you know we've been listening and singing a gay song all our lives?" Because we had no idea that Carl Bean, who was an artist, was gay. He was singing a gay song. But there was so many people on the dance floor, nobody really cared.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wayne, I got a question for you. You know, like around in the 80s, 85, something like that, I would say that's what I would call like the golden era of house music. What do you have any favorite moments or any times from that time, like 85? You know, like at the time when labels like Trax Records came out and stuff like that, when they printed the records, the house records, anything from that era stick out to you?
Well, I put
favorite moment.
Me and my brother, we put out like the first house records, right? Jesse Saunders is my brother and my stepbrother, and he put out On and On, and I put out the next song, Undercover. And
Undercover.
Yeah.
Wait, Jesse Saunders is your stepbrother?
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, and so I'm the one who got him in the Chosen Few. I'm the one who taught him the DJ, got him in the music, all that, right?
Right.
And on the scene. And anyway, so he put out On and On, then I put out Undercover. But we put it under Just Say Records, right?
Right.
Because we where we got our records pressed up, it was a pressing plant called Precision Records, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were known for, putting out polka records and records like that.
Yeah.
And so Larry, the owner, he saw us, we were coming back getting more records than he was pressing up polka records, right? So
right.
He was like, man, I want to get in the business. So he asked us to give him a label, and so Vince was Jesse's partner.
Vince Lawrence.
Vince Lawrence, right? He came up with the name Trax Records and gave it to Larry to start his labels, and Larry in turn gave us a free pressing of the next record we put out.
Wow.
And so that's how Trax Records came to be, right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, and because I was down there all the time, I was the first A&R at Trax Records. So a lot of those early records, right? A lot of those early records I picked,
yes.
like the, Move Your Body.
I was gonna say names. Come on.
It's the Lees, No Way Back, Rocking Down the House, Fingering, Can You Feel It? Future, DJ Pierre, all those early Trax records. Yeah, I picked those records, right? Because Larry didn't know nothing about the scene. He was a white Jewish guy.
Right.
But they would bring these cassettes in. Once these kids found out where they could get the record pressed, they brought these cassettes in. So Larry would always ask me which one do I like, which one I don't like, stuff like that. And so that's kind of how I started picking those records for Larry.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that story. I did not know that story. Back in those days, I was a DJ too. I DJ'd up until around 90, 91. Once hip hop started getting popular in Chicago, then I quit DJing. But I still got my equipment and stuff, but I don't DJ that much anymore. But over the years, house music has evolved over the decades. Yeah. And what do you think are some of the key factors that have contributed to its enduring popularity?
Well, the fact that it evolves, right? Like all music, well, not all music, but great music evolves, right? And, be it country, be it rock, be it R&B, be it, same thing with house music, same thing, all like genres evolve, especially because of new technology helps it evolve, right? And new sounds helps it evolve. Creative writing helps it evolve. But creative people help a genre evolve. Yeah. And so that's the reason why for that, Okay.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, man.
No. I'm just.
I think I got some more.
No.
Okay.
No, Pierre, that was a great question. So I was just listening. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So over the years, you morphed from just being a DJ. Mm-hmm. You've accomplished great success as an artist, producer, A&R executive. You worked the RCA as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jive Records.
Yeah.
Okay, and you work with many icons in the industry, and I believe I'm right with Jennifer Hudson, Aretha Franklin, Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Aaliyah, Mystical, Joe, Raheem DeVaughn, and R. Kelly.
Yep.
Okay, cool. How did
it feel? Also Charlie Wilson.
Charlie Wilson too. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Mm-hmm. How does it feel to be, quote unquote, partially responsible for the success of artists of this caliber?
Well, I think that for me, everything is a blessing of God, right? Yes. And so to even be put in the place to help accentuate those talented artists that you just named, and their life and their musical creativity, it was an honor, for me. It came through God. So for me, I think that there's always been a bigger picture because, mind you, I'm from the projects of Ida B. Wells in Chicago.
Yeah.
And someone would have said my life would have taken all these turns. That, to me, that ain't nothing but God. And I think that if I told you anything else, it would be some ego ass lie. And I'm not
right, I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there it is. I'm good. I ain't that damn good.
I feel you, man. That's what's up. Now, you also got something to do with Fresh Prince, Fresh Prince Summertime.
Right.
Tell me about
that wasn't the first project I worked on at Jive, but I mean that came maybe a couple of years later because I started at Jive Records in 1989.
Okay.
But yeah, that was actually my producers who I signed, Hula and Fingers. They had did this track where they sampled Summer Madness, and so Kumo D was actually supposed to come to work on it, and he came. Yeah, he came through. But whatever reason, the next day he just left and went to LA. Right?
Yeah.
And I called back to the office like, Kumo D, he didn't come in the studio. He was supposed to come in. He just left. And they pretty much, New York was pretty much like, oh well, because I was running the Jive Records office in Chicago, right? Right. And so I'm like, okay, I didn't see none of it. And then after that, 2 weeks later, Will Smith came to town and they asked me to pick him up. Because back then, I used to do everything for the label, and so I would pick them up and get the artists up from the airport, take them to the radio stations, take them to meet media, and all that, right? And so on the way to his hotel from the airport, I had that Summertime track playing in my car.
Okay.
And intentionally, right?
right, exactly.
right. And all of a sudden he was like, man, I really like that. Who did this track? I said, a couple of my producers, Hula and Fingers. And he's like, oh, cool. And then he didn't say nothing a little bit longer. He was like, man, you mind if I get on that? I was like, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah.
And I called Hula and Fingers. I said, get y'all ass down to the studio, man.
Right.
And we'll go come in and do this track,
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's how that record came to be.
Wow.
Okay.
That's classic.
Yeah.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Well,
mm-hmm.
So when did Chicago become like the house music mecca? And Pierre and I, we argue about that, but we won't argue about that with you. But when did Chicago?
No, look, first of all, I can settle your argument. That's number one.
Talk to me, sir.
I can settle that debate, right? Yes. But I would say that
Kevin, when I spoke to Wayne before we had this interview, and I said, Kevin want to interview you about this house music. He said, yes, he needs to be interviewed. He needs to talk to me about it. So I knew this was coming. Here we go.
No. But,
right.
Okay, so let me tell you my part, and I know you're going to jump in and clean it up. So
I've already heard your part, but you can do it again if you like.
I told Wayne that the
Wayne.
He told me.
I told Pierre that the original concept of house music was New York, but the beginnings was Chicago, just to keep everything straight. And so that's All right.
I heard that. Listen, I heard that nonsense, right?
Oh. But wait, so I want to hear your part, Wayne.
That is absolutely incorrect, right?
Okay.
And I'll explain why. But I'll explain why, right?
Okay.
And I understand it because every city has their beginning and their scene, right?
Got you.
But for New York had zero impact on Chicago scene, right?
Okay.
Number one, right? Number two, like people, there's this narrative that when Frankie came to Chicago,
yes,
he brought disco or house music. That's absolutely ridiculous, right?
Okay.
Because the Chicago had one of the very first discos in 1972.
Okay.
Long before Frankie came to Chicago, right? That's number one. Number two, Chicago also had the first all disco radio station in Chicago, right? Which is WDAF, right?
Okay.
That's number two. Number three, Chicago, just like New York, had gay white DJs and gay black DJs and gay Latino DJs, right?
Yes.
Long before Frankie came to Chicago, right? You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so, and many disco clubs. I can, oh my God, Happy Medium, Golden Fork, River's Edge, Faces. I could go on and on.
Okay.
Dingbats, I could go on and on, right? Long before 1977, when Frankie got off the plane in Chicago, right?
Okay.
So that narrative is absolutely ridiculous, right?
Okay.
That's number one. In fact, it's almost insulting to the fact that there were a lot of gay DJs in Chicago that laid the groundwork that aren't even mentioned now because of that erroneous narrative that Frankie brought disco to Chicago, which is absolutely ridiculous, right?
And this is why
Chicago is a huge city. Chicago is a huge city, just like New York is, just like LA is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, no, that's very wrong. So that's number one.
I stand corrected because as I was sharing, with Pierre, it was Larry Levant who really showed Knuckles, how to do, because they were playing at the bathhouses in the Paradise Garage together. And so when that opportunity came, he took that with him to Chicago. And ever since then, Chicago has been known for the mecca of house music. And so that's why I shared with Pierre about the origins and the beginnings, to give respect
but that's a wrong narrative. And that's the wrong.
All right.
Not only is that ain't even the narrative, that's a myth.
Okay,
right?
So listen, I'm bowing down. I'm humbly bowing down, brother.
Right. It's okay. Look, it's all right. That's just like me that's like me saying what was going on in New York at the time with New York, and I'm talking to a New Yorker. Like, come on, I can't do that, right? So, but my point is that when it comes to like even Larry Levant, right? Mm-hmm. What year are you saying that him and Frankie, or that Larry was DJing in New York? Because I know a lot of his popularity came from the Paradise Garage, but I'm sure he was DJing somewhere even before then, right?
They were doing the bathhouses and some of the other clubs before he came.
Yeah, what year was that?
I want to say that would be 70, 71.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 71.
Yeah, 70, 71.
Now you're going too far back now. Okay. Because now I'm going to ask you what disco records was he playing in 1970.
I'm sorry. I want to say 80, 81. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
so again, Chicago had already been, we had our thing, just like New York had their thing, just like we had a lot of legendary DJs in New York as well, right? Yeah. Nicky Siano, right? Oh, and Tony Humphries and of course Larry and a lot of legendary DJs.
Yep.
And so for me, when you constantly talk about one, and look, I'm a DJ. I've been a DJ my whole life. I tell people I was born a DJ, right? And so for me, culture and history is very important.
Yeah. And
you can't forget about the DJs that came before you. You have to honor those as well, right?
Absolutely.
And we had Craig Cannon, Michael Izibuku, Gene White. I mean, Artie Feldman, Ron Hardy. All these were DJs that came before me, right? And so, and to give all that up to a DJ that came from New York years later and say, "Oh, he started it," you know how insulting that is, bro. Yeah. That's very insulting. Like, huh? No, that's absolutely incorrect. Don't get me wrong.
No.
And me and Frankie were great friends, by the way, great friends, yes. Right? Don't get me wrong, Frankie, when he came to Chicago, right? After he figured out, it took him about a year and a half to figure out where we are, where Chicago was musically, because obviously you have regional records as well. But once he got it, right? Oh, he was a motherfucker, right? Frankie was a motherfucker, right? And he made a huge impact on our city, as well as a producer and as well around the world, right? Mm-hmm. But make no mistake, he didn't bring or start none of that in Chicago. You see what I'm saying? That's absolutely ridiculous, right? So, you know, and so that's what I can tell you when it comes to that.
What? No,
okay.
No, of course. Go ahead, Pierre.
Oh, okay. Now you got that off your chest, Wayne. You set the record straight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, going back to working as a A&R person, mm-hmm. you also had a lot to do with R. Kelly and his success. And, you know, even on the Step in the Name of Love, you hear where he shout out DJ Wayne, he's mm-hmm. playing the music. Tell us mm-hmm. a little bit about that connection.
So when I started out at Jive, I signed a lot of house music artists. At first, a lot of people don't even know that, right? I signed Mr. Lee, DJ Pierre, Liz Torres, White with my and producers. Like I signed Cashmere, I signed Hula and Fingers. I had producers like Terry Hunter do work for me as well, right? Right. But after that, and then we did the Summertime. Well, our first project I worked on was the Samantha Fox, and then we did the Summertime project. But then we did two, because I actually co-produced with Mr. Lee, Boom Shake the Room, and Ring My Bell for Will Smith's next album. Yeah. Right. And but then after that, the label said they wanted to get into R&B, right? And so I'm like, oh, you know, I know R&B guy in Chicago, right? And they were like the first. And so I knew his manager, and the manager at that time, his name was Eric Payton. Okay. And I told him to give me Robert's stuff. And so I sent it to New York, and they sent back Aaron Hall Wannabe Pass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like, but that ain't stopped me.
Right.
People are relentless, right? So. So I went out to L.A. maybe about 6 months after that, and I had all the R. Kelly stuff. I had his cassette tapes and I had his videos, right? Yeah. And so I said, so Neil, the guy who ran our L.A. office, his name was Neil Portnow, who just was recently head of the Grammys, until just recently, right? And but he ran our L.A. office, and so I was talking to him, and I was like, man, I understand New York. I got this kid. They said they want to get an R&B, but this kid's great, but they talking about he's Aaron Hall Wannabe. I'm like, he got way more, he's way more of a creative, good singer and creative and songwriter than that, And so Neil was like, man, let me hear it. So I played it for Neil, and he liked it, right? He said, and at the time, the owner of Jive Records, his name was Clyde Calder, and he was living in L.A.
Yes.
And he said, do you mind if I drop it by Clyde's house? I said, no, take it. Absolutely. And so he did that, and next thing I know, Clyde Calder called Barry, who was the head of the New York office, and said, hey, man, get your ass to Chicago, have Wayne Silver showcase, and check this kid out. Yeah. So Barry ended up coming in, and I did a showcase up at the Regal Theater and with Rob, and he did his thing, and the rest is history. Wow. They signed him, and there you go.
Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Now, you got some, Kevin?
No, go ahead, man. Keep going. I'm going to jump in.
Okay. Now, after working with such high-ranking artists over the years, are there any artists, either current or past, that you would love to work with still, that you haven't?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I would love to, honestly, I would have loved to work with Janet Jackson, because I feel I I could bring her back, just like I brought Charlie Wilson back.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I feel I could bring Janet Jackson back, right? And I think that for a variety of reasons. One, because of my R&B background, because of my house music and my dance background. Yeah. And I think she incorporates both worlds, right? Yeah, she's house for sure. Yeah, and so I feel that, and because I keep up on new technology and trends of music and sounds and stuff like that, I feel like I could really nail her project and give her, some smash hits. So definitely Janet Jackson, I feel I could do that with. I think I could do that with. I would like to get a hold of Christopher Williams, right? Okay. I think I could do the same for him, bring him back as well. Okay. And as an R&B artist? As an R&B artist, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. And I love that Dreaming record he did on that new right? Yeah. That new Jack City album. And I was right. And then I would say I told Terry Hunter I would love to work with Queen Latifah on a house album for her.
Wow.
I think that was really dope, Yeah. And somebody else, I love these. There's a new, like a young R&B flavor. I love that new young R&B flavor that like Jay Aiko and Gideon has and people like that, right? Yeah. And so I would like this brother Kenyon Drake. I would like to work on. What's his last name? I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Let me see. Let me Google. Let me see. Kenyon, is it Kenyon Drake or Kenyon Dixon? What is his name? Let me see if I can find it. Kenyon? Yeah. Kenyon. Kenyon Drake. No, that's a football player. Oh, hold on. What type of music he play? No, Kenyon Dixon. Kenyon Dixon? Okay, let me look up that. Yeah, I would love to work with Kenyon Dixon. American singer and songwriter. Yeah. Yep. And I would love to work with Skip Marley.
Okay.
Skip Marley. Yeah. Okay. So, as far as wish list of artists, that probably would be my wish list of any one of those artists I feel I could do a great job with. Yes. Okay. What about any that have passed, that's not living no more? Any of them that you would have loved to have worked with? Well, my dream was, like I said, God is so good to me. My dream was obviously my mother's favorite artist who I did work with, which was Aretha Franklin, right? Okay. Yeah. That was probably, my dream artist to work with. I think that I can just tell you people like Marvin Gaye. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Name some of them classics. Yeah. Prince or Michael Jackson, either of them. Oh, Michael Jackson for sure. Well, I actually did kind of work with through R. Kelly. We did that You're Not Alone record. Oh, okay. For Michael Jackson. But and Robert did quite a few songs that never got to Mike really. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to think who else. Could you have did anything with Prince?
Oh, I was thinking about that too.
I wish I could have picked the songs for Prince. Like some of his albums, I was disappointed in. Right? Okay. Why? Because I just thought he could have picked better songs. You know what I'm saying? And I have a really good ear, and so I could pick better songs, right? And there's no telling how many songs he had in the vault, right? And artists sometimes aren't good at picking their records. Like Joe was never, he wasn't really good. Like he hated I Want to Know, right? I'm like, bro, that record. I had to trick him. We had to trick him into putting that record out, bro. Really? Oh yeah, he did not want that record out, right? Wow. And I'm telling him it's a hit, it's a smash hit, and finally we were able to tell him to at least put it on he wouldn't put it on his album. We asked him to put it on the soundtrack. We put it on the Wood soundtrack. And what I did was I took that record to Elroy Smith. Yeah, I remember at DCI. Yeah, and Elroy had great ears, and he heard that record and was like, "Bam!" And at that time, Elroy was so big, everybody knew it. Right. When he added the record, they saw it, and then they started adding the record, and the record blew up to be a big hit. It blew up so big that his fans was asking him to perform it. He wouldn't even perform the record, and so overwhelming. He started performing the record, and he ended up adding it on his next album.
Wow. That's what's up.
And for Prince, I could say if I would have won his vault, oh baby,
yeah, man, I know. I can imagine.
I would have got all them hits he probably got.
Yeah. I can imagine. Now, moving a little further ahead, in addition to being a creative person and a businessman, you're also the founder of the Chosen Few Disco Corp, a.k.a. the Chosen Few DJs. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the Chosen Few DJs to someone that may not be familiar with the group?
Well, again, when I started to blow up, I got so hot, I couldn't do all the party requests that I wanted to do. And so that's what made me even think about starting a DJ group. And that's why I got my brother involved first, Jesse Saunders, and getting Tony Hatchett. He came around at one of the parties we did at St. Albie's, and he was like, "Man, I would love to be part of you guys." And so, at that time, I had like so many record crates of disco records. I would just leave them over their house, and they would learn the music and stuff. And so, but a lot of times they were losing my damn records. So the next DJ I got was Alec Key because he had his own records, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, he got his own record. He know the music, right? This is years later, 1980, right? And so I'm like, oh yeah, he needs to be in my group. You know what I'm saying? And
now, what year was it started? Was it started?
I actually started the first show. It was the Few Disco Corporation. I started that in '75, but in '77, that's when I just made it all DJs only, and that's when I started the Chosen Few DJs.
Okay. Now go back where you at with Alan. He got his own equipment.
So he had his own records, and so I'm like, yeah, we need to have him in the group so he stop losing my damn records. You know?
Right.
And so, but the key for me is you had to have a great ear, be a great DJ, as well as a good person, right?
Okay.
And so, that was the key, and that's why. And then later on, I added Mike and Terry Hunter, but that's always been the key. The fact they creatively they're on point, and as a human they're on point, right? And so that was a big part of it for me, and that's why we're still great friends and love each other to this very day, right? There's no jealousy. There's none of that.
It's a brotherhood.
It's a brotherhood, for real brotherhood. Exactly.
So if I said, Wayne, describe the Chosen Few. Who are the Chosen Few? How would you explain or describe?
Actually, 8 of us. There's Kim Parham. She's the female in our group, right? So it's 8 of us, and we all were friends from back in the day.
Okay.
And 4 or 5 decades worth of friends, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of just described like we're non-judgmental. We're about love and unity, and we support each other, and we support other people as well that support our culture, which is the house music culture. So you all basically have the same vision as the house culture. You know, everybody in the house culture all love each other, supportive of each other. So it's basically a carryover of that. Absolutely.
Now, when you started the music festival, right? Did you have any dreams, desires as to its growth?
Just early on in the very beginning.
Yes.
A lot of us had moved away out of Chicago, right? And so we would come together, and we would usually come around the holidays, and it usually was like either Christmas or July 4th, something like that, right?
Yes.
And so we did a party one year after not playing together for a certain amount of years. We did a party, and around Christmas because we were all in town, and it was real successful, right? And we're like, man, you know what? People still want to hear us play together, right? Yes. And so that's kind of what gave us the idea. And then because of that, but a lot of reasons we moved away. A couple people moved away because of that cold. That was, you know what I'm saying? It was cold, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Chicago ain't no cold.
Well, we do this. We want to do it in the summertime, right? Right. And so we all agreed on that, and so that's why we decided to do it the July 4th weekend. And since then, we moved to the second weekend because NASCAR came on that weekend. That's right. And so now it's the second weekend of July, but that's the reason for that.
So now,
go ahead.
Yeah, how do you guys go about selecting who plays at the venue for you guys?
We rotate.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, some people want to go early because they got something to do late. Some people want to go in late because they got something to do early. You know, so it just rotate. You know, each of us are equal when it comes to the level of DJing, so it doesn't make a difference for us. You know,
I'm saying when you go about selecting other DJs from other places to come and join you on stage and play in Chicago, how do you go about making that selection?
They're usually already great DJs, you know.
Okay.
And Chicago has so many great DJs, right? That's such an easy process to do. And even out of town DJs that are great, or out the country DJs that are great, because we've been around so long, we're very familiar with. Yeah. And so it's easy to plug and pick. And again, we're usually great friends with those people as well, you know, and they're supportive of the culture just like we are. So we honor that part.
Because I think this year you had Jihad Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from North Jersey. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jihad. Yeah, we had Joe Clarcell too, and Timmy Register, and but Jihad is when I tell you he's a great person and a great DJ. Yep. And at one point we want to get to Naeem too, because he's another great DJ.
Oh, absolutely.
And great person as well.
Absolutely,
you know.
Yeah.
And but there's so many, man. There's so many, can't get to them all. Especially, right. First of all, it's 7 of us.
Yeah.
So you know, ain't much time.
Ain't much time left.
Yeah.
Right. But we would love, obviously we would love to get to all these great, because we know great DJs in every city, man. Yeah. You know, and so LA got great DJs, Detroit got great DJs. Right. You know what I'm saying? New York, New Jersey, Baltimore. I mean, all over the country, all over the world. And so we have DJs we had DJ came from London last year, you know.
Maybe make it a week-long festival, bro.
Right. Right. Hey, man. That one day is a killer.
I know it's right.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Now, the way that, can you explain to our listeners how the Chosen Few picnic even came about? How it started off as just a little birthday backyard party. Can you explain the origins of the picnic?
Well, again, I said it started from that one party we had that in that winter around Christmas that we had in 1989, and that's kind of what spurred it. And so in the next year we did it the 4th of July weekend, and how we picked the spot is Tony and Andre, excuse me, they used to have a family reunion, like that spot anyway. They're already doing like a family reunion thing, just with their family. And so we said, well, we'll just go there on the 4th of July weekend, and we'll invite people. And the first time we did it, maybe 40 or 50 people came through, and from then it was just we came back every year, and it was just word of mouth, like
right. Was this behind the Museum of Science?
Behind me, yeah, that's where it was.
Yeah, I was there. I remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It just grew and grew and grew,
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Now you guys have the longest running house music festival in the world.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? How does it make you feel, right? You're so busy putting it together, and the crazy thing is reflecting on stuff. I'm not the greatest at, right? Because I'm always thinking about what I'm going to do next, right?
Got you.
And so that's kind of hard for me. But I will say this: we know we make a lot of people look forward to it and they enjoy it and you know, we know that, and that's why it's important for us to keep it going as long as we possibly can, you know. And it is a lot of work, though. Let me say that. But,
no, because I saw one of your flyers.
People.
No, I said I saw one of your flyers. You guys got major corporate sponsor, man.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say major. I mean, Lollapalooza got major corporate sponsors. Okay. We got a few. We got a few. Right? Lord knows we need more. But yeah, we've done you know, pretty good. Like we've had some. I think Walmart. Yeah. You know, with us and the Chicago White Sox and. They've been a part, and we've had some big brands. Kim actually does a lot of that work.
Yes.
Yeah. I really don't even want to name it because I don't want to offend nobody, but right. Big sponsors that I can't think of their name right now because, like I said, she handles most of that. But they play a huge part in the Chosen Few.
So
putting this event on.
That's almost like a full-time job for the whole year.
Oh yeah. Oh, it is absolutely.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
I know the foundation of the group. You know, the Hatchet, you, Jesse, you all were all friends. Later on, you added Terry Hunter and Mike Dunn. Why was that addition made? For those two in particular.
Because one. We wanted to expand the brand, and those guys not only were they local legends, but they're also international, right?
Okay.
And so we know that would help expand the brand internationally.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the main reasons. The other main reason is because we was already boys, we was already friends, they was already great, fantastic legends already themselves. Yeah. And it just made all the sense in the world, and they can help us in so many other ways as well, you know.
Yeah.
And so here we are hanging out at the crib, you know, talking, eating. We know their families, and the fact that, you know what was funny? I think that it probably could have been done a lot earlier, but you don't even think people are. Especially because they were already so well known, and you don't even think they would be interested in that, right? Like, I didn't even think like that at first, right?
Right.
And then I remember mentioning something to Mike, and he was like, "Oh man, I would love to." I was like, "I'm thinking to myself, really? Right?
Right?
You know, right? You know?" And so, I think, you know, all of that kind of, again. All these decisions are led by God. You know, God has His timing. You know,
absolutely,
and it works. You know, you just have to follow the lead. That's all.
Okay. Does the Chosen Few DJs plan to incorporate any female DJ to join the ranks? And I don't want to offend nobody. I don't know if you got any contenders that may be under consideration, or you don't have to name them. But do you plan on adding any female DJs to the group ever?
Well, let me say this: there are. First of all, there are quite a few fantastic female DJs. You know, and back in the day, I probably was one of the first to give female DJs their exposure by using my group to do a female DJ battle to show a spotlight on just the girls, right? Just the ladies, right?
Yeah.
And so I've always been a proponent of supporting. Yeah, I don't look at female DJs as female DJs. I just look at them as DJs, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I've always been a proponent of just DJs, period, you know, who are good and are about their craft and go about their business, right? And so, but to directly answer your question, I think that first, we're the chosen few, we're not the chosen many.
Right. Okay.
Okay. That's number one, right? But number two, I think that we don't have to put put a female DJ in our group, support them, and we support female DJs
every year.
You know, without them being in our group. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that when it comes to a new DJ period, again, I don't look at gender, right? Just so happened that that's how it came to be, but it wasn't intentionally like that, right? Okay. But so I don't look at gender like that. I think that because I oppose any sort of racism or bias, right? I'm the most non-judgmental person you'll ever meet, right? Yeah. But I think that, and again, we already have a girl in our group, you know, Kim Parham, who we know to death, right? So, but I think that as a DJ, again, everything. I don't have the answer to that question because God has led me every time to, however, any one of these guys or lady got in my group for that to happen. You feel me? Right. I can't say yes and no because I just don't know, right? And and quite frankly, I don't even know how much longer I'm gonna be DJing, honestly, right? Oh, really? But so I don't know the answer to that question. Honestly. Okay.
Well, go ahead. A curious question. So, when a lot of our DJs that are in the States, when we go across the country internationally, how come we don't make a lot of money as the international DJs who are already there? Is it the type of music that we play? Why is that?
Good question. Well, we don't play the type of music they play, right? And see, I tell this. Well, I say this all the time, right? Be happy with what you do, right?
Got you.
You know, techno or EDM, those guys who decide to play that kind of music, right, for whatever their reasons is, you know, God bless them, right? Like they made a ton of money, and those people who listen to that kind of music, right, or support that kind of music, hey, that makes more money than the kind of music that we play. Okay, because that, right, is just a fact, bro. You know, and don't get me wrong, any of our DJs can play. It could find some techno and electronic music and play that and probably make more money. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. We choose not to do that. Gotcha. Right? Yeah. Gotcha. So with that choice comes consequences just like any other choice. Yes. Right? Now, there's timing and everything, and maybe one day our music will blow up like techno or EDM. But if it does, if it doesn't, we're still going to love it. Yeah. Right. And play it and do what we do with it. But I'm not going to hate on other people because they play other music that make more money. I don't play country, and country make more money. You know what I'm saying? So, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. But Chosen Few pick. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I guess my next question, Wayne, was: are you currently doing any residencies?
I do a Wednesday in LA called What the Fuck, right? Okay. Right. WWTF. And it's playing. It plays with the, you know, the flyer says WTF and it says playing wherever the fuck we want. Gotcha. You know? Right. Gotcha. See, when you get old, you can say shit like that, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you give no fucks, right? Yeah. So, right. And quite frankly, I started out as an all format DJ, and then I went to straight disco and house music, right? And so this is kind of like one night going back to my original roots where I play ballads and I play anything like rock, I play country, I play classical, I play piano, I play reggae, I play reggaeton, I play salsa. I like just playing music, man. Good music. Good music. We're music lovers. Yeah. And there's great music in every genre, right? And so you just find that great music, and you know, night ain't that long any damn way. And it's me and Dion Cole. We do it. We're talking while we're doing it. Okay. It's the most craziest night you'll ever come to when it comes to that, because there's literally no rules to it, right? And this we'll stop the music and like back some shit up and say, "Did you hear what this verse just said?" You know, like it's a crazy night, bro. Yeah. You know, and Dion is amazing. He's so he's such an amazing, engaging personality himself, and he knows music as well, and so when he's playing, and then his personality, and same thing with me and my personality. When I'm DJing, it's a Burnett. Like, give you an example, you RSVP to get in, right?
Yes.
Right. And if you don't RSVP, then of course you pay. But I was on the mic and I said, well, just to explain, what WTF that night's about, what the fuck, right? Everybody who RSVP'd and came in, we welcome you, we thank you, we appreciate you. And you'll be saying WTF on the way out, because on the way out, we're going to charge you to leave because you got in. Right. They'll be like, go in that door and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that. Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's such a fun night, bro. It's crazy, right? Because there's no telling what goes on, what we're going to play, what happens in that night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And this is every Wednesday? This is every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday,
wow,
yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Yeah. I told
Wow.
him to get out. I like that.
Right.
Okay.
That's different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and you had a small lady, RSVP on the door. There's Evo on the door when you're trying to leave.
When it's time to go, right. Right. Oh,
okay.
That's crazy.
That's classic, man. That's classic.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny, bro.
Oh,
and so yeah, but I think that that's what that night's about, and that's that residency. And then I can't do it on the weekend because I travel a lot to DJ on the weekend. Like this Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve, I'm in Detroit. This Thursday in Chicago, I'm at Promontory, and then Saturday I'm at Boo in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So I usually travel on the weekend, so the only time I could do a residency is really during the week anyway.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Now go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask a question. I did, I guess for my 55th birthday, I went out to Vegas, and that's when Coffee was doing he was beginning to do his residency there.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee credits, house music and some of you guys with getting him started, but how does he, again, going back to that charge question, how does he cost so much?
Cost so much?
Yeah.
Well, what, to have him DJ at a party?
No. I mean, when he goes like Madison Square Garden, how does he charge so much? How does he pack those venues?
Well, he's done and his team has done a phenomenal job as far as marketing him. But not only that, like, he'll play hard now.
Yeah, oh no.
Coffee will play hard, right?
Yeah.
So he'll play, quite frankly, like, well, there's no way I would play like that. You know what I'm saying? But there are people who pay money because they like that.
Got you.
That kind of music, right?
Got you.
And so that's why, I think that if he played like he did when he was in South Africa, I think it would be a different story. Although I will say this, if they promote it, DJs, I'm sure that DJ one way in Jersey and then go to Europe and DJ completely another way.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I would never do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, when you hear me, you gonna hear me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Okay. And like, you either accept it or you don't. And I'm cool with it, right? I've never done it I'm not gonna sell out to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna play my style, period, and either you're with it or you're not.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of where I am. But don't get me wrong, if people want to do that, that's on them. I don't begrudge them of doing that, right? Some people hate on it or whatever. I don't hate on them at all, right? If they want to do that, like if I want to play, trust and believe, I could find the hottest techno records and play that and do a whole play if I wanted to.
If you want
to. I just don't want to,
Right. Now, the Chosen Few has contributed to the global recognition of Chicago as the birthplace of house. And you've traveled outside of the country, I'm sure you traveled outside and traveled around the world in the name of house. How would you describe house acceptance in other countries in comparison to here in the States?
Well, I'm born and raised Chicagoan, right? And so house in Chicago is a staple. And there's house parties and events 7 days a week in Chicago, sometimes 2, 3, 4 parties on the same damn night, right?
Right, exactly.
Right. And so there's no place like the home of house music because it's embedded into our culture and our society and our children, right? And so it's even our hip hop DJs know how to play house music.
Yeah.
Don't sleep. Okay, you get the hardest hip hop DJ in Chicago, and if there's a house crowd show up, they're not going to have any problem. Okay, so because it's embedded into our culture. So I think that other cities obviously aren't as deep or love it or get it like we do here in Chicago, but I think that I do, obviously traveling like Italy, I know is real big into the house culture, and London obviously was real big into the house culture. And so there's certain cities, Japan at one point I know was really big into the disco and house culture. And so, it's trendy, sometimes it's trendy depending on, economics, and people owning clubs and how they're trying to make money or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think there's always room for it in any country, any place. It's just a matter of making room for it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's what's up. Yeah. Now, many people that know you personally and or professionally, including myself, describe you as a down-to-earth, humble dude. Now, when others in the entertainment industry reach the level of success that you have, some of them go Hollywood, and become arrogant and, all stuck up and stuff like that. But you don't seem to have gone down that path. How have you maintained your level-headedness, and why is that important to you?
Well, because Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and God tells me that He made everybody, right? And so He don't make mistakes. So for me, He's the judge. I'm not the judge, right? I'm not the judge of humans, right? When it comes to who's going to meet their maker, And so for me, I try to, love everybody, and I'll talk to a homeless person just like I'll talk to the head of the CEO.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that we're all human, and we all deserve kindness, right? And whom am I to be the judge of someone else, right? And so I've always judged people in my life like that. I remember when back again when I was a teenager starting to play disco music. Mind you, in the 70s, most people were homophobic back then, right? Right. And so I was, some of my own friends was calling me all sorts of gay slurs and names and stuff, right? And so my mother saw me come in the house one day, and she said, what's wrong? I said, it's just some of my friends. I'm finding out really ain't my friends, And she said to me, listen, honey, when people stop talking about you, that's when you got to worry.
Yes.
And from that point on, and I was 15, from that point on, I gave zero fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
And so whoever I wanted to be my friend, and when I tell you I had probably some of the nerdiest friends, right?
Yes.
Who were getting bullied, and I would take up for them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because they were getting bullied or whatever, or didn't nobody want to hang out with them or sit with them because they were nerdy or they might have been different or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that didn't bother me. You see what I'm saying? Because I didn't judge people like that. I don't judge people like that. So I've always been that person.
So that's what keeps you grounded.
Yep.
Wayne, I was in the conversation I had with Pierre, we were talking about creating a house music association just to leverage the buying power that the house music people have. Have you ever given any thought to leveraging that? So the example was, I during the daytime I teach entrepreneurship, and I'm always talking about creating Black-owned businesses, right? And so what would it look like if we had a house music association where we would leverage our collective buying power? So when we went places, we got discounts for that, because I see a lot of us, we're partying and we're having a great time, but at the end of the day, a lot of times we don't own the places where we party. Any thoughts on leveraging and your thoughts on that?
Well, let me say this. My mother was a Black Panther.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, growing up in that household where I would go to Operation Push every Saturday.
Yes.
Right. And Reverend Willie Barrow was like auntie to me and my family. Right.
Yes.
And I think that, and I wouldn't say I'm militant, but I'm very pro-Black, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But not a racist bone in my body, right?
Yeah.
And some people get that confused. Just because you pro-Black don't mean you racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. No, I'm pro-Black, but I love everybody. I treat everybody equal, but make no mistake, I'm very pro-Black, right? And so I believe in supporting your own community and your brothers and sisters, right? I believe in that. Yes. But I think the Italians believe in that. I believe the Jewish people believe in that. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So why should we be any damn different, right? Yeah. The Irish believe in that. So that's how I feel, and I think that I guess my point is everybody has a gift. Everybody has a purpose in life, right? Yes. And those sort of purposes, I have no problem as far as supporting.
Yes.
Because I believe in supporting those sort of purposes. You feel me?
Awesome. You might become our first member, Pierre and I just said it here. We're going to start the House Music Association.
Right. Just like AARP.
There you go. There you go. Right.
Yeah. Now, Wayne, what are some of your most memorable moments as a DJ? Whether it was like a legendary set you did, or a chance encounter with a DJ or a musical performer, a singer. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind? Maybe one or two things that was the highlight so far.
Well, let me think. I remember we did a party at the Loft. There's this place called the Loft in Chicago.
Yes.
Right. It was open at 11, and people would leave there like 2 the next day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Noon the next day, right? And one day, at one party, the place was so packed. Now, the Loft was upstairs, and you had to come in and go up the stairs to the second floor, and that's where the party was, in the Loft. But it was across the street from a fire station. And the party was so packed, literally kids went and got a ladder from the fire station to climb in the second floor window to get into this party at the Loft.
Wow.
I had never seen no shit like that in my life. Now, mind you, I was 8 years old when this happened. But that's how much they were frantic for this music, this soul house music that we were playing back then, So that was, I never will forget that, right? Yeah. Now, I'll tell you just recently, first time, like a couple months ago, I DJed in London, right? Mm-hmm. With my partner, Alan King, and we were DJing. And when I tell you, that party had a vibe, oh my God, bro. That party had such a vibe to it,
Really? Yeah.
And
you could feel it, the energy.
You could feel it, man. The energy was bananas. And I think that, in fact, such a vibe. I mean, they already invited us back, I think we're going back in June this summer, right? Because I told them, we want to come in the summertime.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I think that was a amazing part. Some parties, it's the vibe, man. I can't explain it, but it's just walking in, you're excited to the park. You know what I'm saying? And it was like the first time I went to and saw the Jackson 5, right? I was like, oh my God, man, chills. They ain't even hit the stage yet, and you're getting chills. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess those the first two things that came. Oh, and I tell you another time, the first time Frankie Knuckles did the Chosen Few, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, he had he was traveling all the time back then, but when finally decided, he said, okay, I can do it this year. Mind you, again, we were already really good friends with Frankie. All my Chosen Few members were really good friends with Frankie, and so the fact that once he did it and hit the stage, I don't know, man. It was surreal. It was like that Chosen Few picking I will never forget.
I was there.
I could tell he was genuinely just as
excited.
Excited is the right word, or just as like you just felt his energy and his wanting to do it, and knowing that was a highlight for him. At that
joy,
that joy, right? And what he meant. And I'll tell you another one. Dave Morales, right? When Dave Morales performed at the Chosen Few, he, after he did a set, man, he literally came outside the DJ area, stood at the tip of the stage, and held his hands out because he felt so appreciated, and the crowd felt such appreciated for him. Yeah, it was. But I would say those are the times for me that really stick out in my history.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, Wayne, have you ever done like a Chosen Few documentary?
Kinda. And I say kinda. Someone else kind of like put it together, and we just added to it.
Gotcha.
But not me specifically, no.
Gotcha. Well, Wayne is my dude. You should let Wade put together a documentary for you. Not
Who's
Wayne.
that?
I mean Pierre. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Pierre. Yeah. You should. He could put together a documentary for you.
Yeah, them documentaries. Those are once it's done, it's beautiful. But all the work that's necessary and the research. That's a lot. Don't you agree, Wayne?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you're gonna do it right.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it right, it's a lot of footwork, and I don't know if I'm ready for that one.
You ready?
I'll watch it when it comes out.
Right.
Right, exactly. Brother Wayne. Go ahead.
No, I'll just say, Brother Wayne, what would be your legacy? How would you want to be remembered in this musical house space?
I guess someone who gave full support and love to the space, right? To the culture, right?
Yes.
And to the DJ culture, like I said, I was born a DJ, and I know this because when I was 8 years old, my mother would put me to bed at like 9, 10 o'clock, and she'd go to sleep. I wake back up and wouldn't go to sleep till like 2, 3 in the morning, right?
It was a night owl from a kid.
Now, I didn't know it. Right, I didn't know it then, right?
Yeah.
But I could never sleep. I could never go to sleep during those times, right?
Yeah.
And it was hard to wake up in the morning. My mother would get so mad, right?
Right. Why are you so sleepy?
But she didn't know, and I didn't know I was born a DJ, right?
Right.
And so there it is, So I know I'm born a DJ, and so that's the gift God gave me, and for me to share it, my gift all over, to all the people in all the clubs and dancers and people who I met throughout, that's enough.
Yes.
For me, a legacy, and the fact that I feel I'm never, especially my legacy as far as being an A&R, A&R person for 28 years, senior senior VP of A&R for Jive RCA Records. The fact that I never screwed anybody, or because there are a lot of demons in that music business. Please believe it, right?
I can imagine, yeah.
Literally.
Okay. But I never had to do that, and I was very honest and straightforward with people. Like I definitely believe in being truthful and honest and straightforward with people, and you either like it or you don't, but at least you know where I stand.
Where you stand.
I think I don't believe in bullshitting people or deceiving people. I hate that actually, right? Yeah. And so I don't like it being done to me. So I don't see why other people want it done to them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now, do you have any type of? I got two more questions. This one here, and then another follow up after this. A message to your fans. What message would you like to share with your fans and supporters across the world as you continue, you and the Chosen Few, continue to inspire and entertain audience around the world? Any message to your supporters?
Just trust us. Just trust me. Just trust the music. Because a lot of times, we've always played new music, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times, I think that when DJs present new music, first of all, everybody can't pick new music, right? But the ones who pick new music and it's good and you end up growing on it and you like it or whatever, you have to trust them to continue doing that. And I think that's, close your eyes and just feel the music and enjoy it.
Yes.
Trust the process.
Because the great thing is when you get on that dance floor, it ain't about politics, it ain't about race, it ain't about gender, it ain't about sex, it ain't about none of that. It's all about the music.
Yes.
Period. And so it's such a release. It's such a stress relief from every day of nonsense and bullshit you have to go through from just watching the news to living life, right?
Yes.
Right. That's your refuge, that dance floor, baby. That's your refuge. And you get all that stress out. And we're doing it together as a community, and there's nothing like it.
So now I know you brought up a point. It was a point where Chicago here, there was two issues with the Chosen Few. One is once you all start charging, and then you have to explain to them that it costs a lot to put this together, and that rubbed people a little hard way. And people were kind of stuck in the 80s and wanted to hear "I Can't Turn Around," and you know what I mean. They were stuck in the 80s. Like you said, you had to hold their hand and bring them to the present and future. Could you talk about that? Those two issues, as far as how people were trying to push back or had issues with charging, and how you had to pull them from out of the 80s and just stuck in the teenage music years.
Well, I think that those old records for those people were new records for us when we played them, right?
Yeah.
So we're not doing anything different by playing new music. They were new records in the 70s. We played new records in the 70s. We played new records in the 80s. We played new records in the 90s. So those 70s records in the 90s were old classics. But when we played them, they were new records, right?
Right.
and further. So we've done the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We just introduced new music, and they later became classic records. We haven't done anything different. There are people who decide to stop and decide all they want to listen to is what they're familiar with, right?
Right.
And but that's on them, right? We've never DJed like that, and we never will DJ like that. And don't get me wrong, we'll play some classics during our set, but we're constantly introducing new music along the way. And I think, quite frankly, that's one of the reasons why we did that old school picnic, because that's the one year you can hear us play, nothing but classics. We might do that twice a year. We'll do it for our Thanksgiving party, and we'll do it for our for the summer party. So one in the winter and one in the summer. But that's it. The rest of the year, oh no, you're gonna hear mostly new music, and because we have to provide for the next classics that are coming. You feel me?
Yeah, exactly. So lastly, for me, I know Jesse Sanders had a medical issue years ago, And how is he doing?
Oh, he's doing a little better. He's learning how to swallow, which he wasn't doing at first.
Okay.
And so we're kind of happy about that, but it's a slow process. But yeah, he had a stroke. Well, he had 3 strokes actually, and but he's in. I think he's in a real nice rehab facility now, and he seems to be improving. So
I know he just absolutely is. I know he has the prayers of everyone listening.
Absolutely,
for him to get better. But just recently, he just dropped a new first. He got a song that the video is all AI. Can you talk about that?
No, I can't because
well, he's already dropped it.
That's something that obviously it's a song he had in the can. Now I don't know how he put that video together, but Jesse has a lot of people that work with him, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And but I don't know how that video came to be, right?
Oh, okay.
But again, Jesse knows a lot of people. Obviously, Jesse been around for forever, and so a lot of different people work with him on his music as well as his marketing. There's a whole different kind of individual marketing team that Jesse works with. So,
well, you said it. That AI now, and depending upon the platform you use, that AI is no joke. You can put together with the right prompts. You can type in the prompts; it'll put together a video with just you interfacing with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. AI is no joke.
Yeah.
Please believe it.
No joke at all.
Yeah.
They got to get some kind of regulations on it, or you know what I mean? Because you can create a song where Beyonce singing an Aretha Franklin song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's too much right now. Yeah. It's out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
wow.
Brother Wayne, with the time that we have left, I just want to just share this with you quite quickly. Throughout this whole conversation, man, you talked about how humble you were, and it was ever present in this conversation. So, brother, I thank you. And for Pierre, listen, kudos to you, man, because if it wasn't for you, we would not have made this happen. And there was no way that I was going to meet with the legend. So I thank you, because I think, first of all, I would have had no way of tracking you down. And if I would have tracked you down, I was like, who the hell is this?
Right.
But I thank you for being humble enough to say, yo, this is my dude. Pierre is saying, don't know him for a can of paint, but he a good dude. Give him a chance. Give us an opportunity. And so I think we made it work. So Pierre, thank you. Brother Wayne, thank you. So having said that, Wayne, you've got the final floor. Say anything you need to say before we do our closeout, brother.
Nothing. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate just the interest, period, in me and my work. And I think that there's nothing like clarity. There's nothing like understanding and communicating, right?
Yes.
That can help people, figure out things for themselves as well. And I love these platforms.
Yes.
And you guys keep doing what you're doing as well.
Yes, sir.
Because it's needed, and it helps, because people always want to know about history.
Yes.
And there's always new generations of kids who you'd be shocked are into our music and our culture.
Yes.
And they want to know the history or how it came to be. So it's very important.
So now I also want to say this is the first collaboration between Go Bang Magazine and Entrepreneurial Enclave.
Yes.
And this is very good. And I want to thank you, Wayne, because I've been trying to interview you, and I know you like the podcast format. So once I hooked up with him, I said, okay, this is my opportunity to make our connection happen.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. So thank you so much coming from me, man.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Brother Wayne, listen, the platform is always open to you. Just call Brother P, and we're gonna make it happen.
Yep.
It doesn't make a difference, or the time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You guys.
Okay, no doubt, fellas.
Right?
All right, God bless.
God bless.
Okay, take care, man.
Yes, sir.
All right,
bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email Kevin at minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.